In this video, I'm going to talk about the purpose of life, mostly from a Zen perspective and from my own experience. I'm also going to share 6 things that you can try to help you live life with more clarity and purpose. Hello everyone, it's Jason, and I'm here answering your questions about Zen, meditation, your practice, life, any kind of question. Today's question is about the purpose of life. Does life have any meaning? Let me read this question for you. Jason, I've been watching your YouTube videos and recently visited your website. On your homepage, I noticed the words Zen, life, purpose. I'm curious about the concept of purpose. What do you believe is the purpose of life? Does life truly have any inherent meaning? This is a very big question, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this video has some idea about the purpose of life. You know, it all depends on how you grew up or where you grew up. Maybe you practice in a certain religion or spiritual practice. All of these things shape this idea of purpose. But what is the true purpose of this life? And what is life anyway? You know, when I think about my life, it's mostly just my idea of it. But what is it really in this moment? And how are we living this life? You know, we come into this world with nothing. We're going to spend a lot of time, money, and energy gathering things to fulfill ourselves or to make us happy. And when we leave this world or leave this life, we can't take anything with us. You know, I started thinking about purpose when I was in my early 20s, right before I started practicing Zen. I was living in Seattle. If you read my book, you probably heard this story. I was living in Seattle and I was going through a divorce. So I was losing a relationship. I lost my job. I was a musician and I was getting a lot of pain in my hands, so I couldn't play. So it felt like I tried to get all of these things to be happy, to be fulfilled. But I can't keep any of it. So what's going on here? Why are we here? What's the purpose? And I noticed it wasn't just me. As I looked around, everybody is chasing after something to be happy, to be fulfilled. But we can't keep any of it. This is why Zen Master Sung Song once said that life has no meaning, no reason, and no choice. Did you decide to be born here? Do you have a choice of when you're going to die? So this is very interesting teaching that he presented. And then he said, but we have our practice. So I practice Zen. Maybe you practice some kind of spiritual practice or religion. He said, we have our practice to understand our true self. The reason why we are confused or we're not clear about our lives, or maybe we don't see the purpose of this life, is because we don't understand our true self. This is what we call it in Zen, right? There's this idea of self that we created in our own minds, And then there's this true self that's actually before our idea. It's actually before thinking. I would like to invite you to try something. What if we didn't make purpose? Didn't make this concept of life? Investigate our true self. In the school I teach in the Quantum School of Zen, we have this teaching, don't make anything. And what that means is there's the truth, and then there's the narrative I add to the truth. We have these opinions that we add to the truth. These likes and dislikes that we add. And we start to view the whole world through these things. And we start to believe that, oh, this is the truth. So then I have my truth, you have your truth, someone else has their truth, and we start to argue about what is the truth. We start to fight about what the truth is. And it really causes a lot of problems in this world, but also in our own lives. In Buddhism, there's these 6 dusts. So we all have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. And all of these senses have dusts clouding them. My eyes only see what I want to see. My ears only hear what it wants to hear. And it really creates this delusion, which results in suffering. So if we take away all of these dusts, then all of our senses wake up. Our eyes become clear. Our ears become clear. Our nose, tongue, body, mind, our thinking, everything becomes clear. The name for this is true self. Everything is just truth, universal truth. It's not dependent on what religion you believe in. Doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, where you live, if you're young or old. If we take away all of these dusts, the truth is already clear. Outside, the sky is gray. Even if I had 10 people in this room from different backgrounds and different religious beliefs, they all could see the sky is gray. So if we perceive this truth, perceive this true self, then I think, or from my experience, that our purpose becomes clear. So I'd like to share 6 things that you can try to connect with this truth or to perceive this true self. And the first one you might have heard before is to be present. Another way of saying that is being mindful of this moment. When I teach meditation, I always say it's not about having no thinking. It's being aware of our thinking. Usually our thinking and our emotions are spinning us around, kind of like a tornado. So meditation practice is a wonderful tool to be anchored in this moment. We are aware of our thinking. We're not pushing away thinking. We're not holding it. We're just noticing it. But we're also noticing our breath, noticing what we see and what we hear. And again, this really helps keep us grounded and start to see the truth in this moment. The second thing you can try is the practice of non-attachment. The easiest way to explain attachment is holding, right? Usually we're holding our thinking, holding our feelings, holding our experiences, right? We're attached. So the practice of non-attachment just means to let go. And maybe not even that, just don't hold. Keep open. And I think what really helps is to see the truth of impermanence, right? Sometimes in the back of our mind, we think things are permanent. My relationship is permanent. My job is permanent. My health is permanent. And we all know that we can't keep any of these things. So seeing the truth of impermanence, that everything in our lives will disappear, can really help us not to hold. In fact, in my experience, I don't take things for granted because I don't know how much time I even have left on this planet. So I try not to take anything for granted and really become intimate with everything and everyone in each moment. And that leads to the third thing to practice is to be accepting, because if we're not attaching, that means if we're not holding, we start to accept things as the way they are. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be happy. We start to realize the truth of impermanence. And I think, again, the more we are accepting of what's true, we have more freedom, more clarity, and also more opportunities to respond to situations in a way that's more helpful. The fourth thing to practice is the experience of being connected. Everything in this universe is connected and understands what to do. You know, in the winter, there's a lot of snow, and then spring comes and it gets warm. The snow starts to melt. The grass starts to turn green. The flowers start to bloom. The bugs and insects start to come out. How do they know to do that? Are all of those things thinking, oh, today's April 1st. It's time to come out. It's time to start growing. No, everything's already connected and responding to each other. Human beings are also connected, but we separate ourselves. If we create the strong sense of self, then everything's divided and we cannot perceive this original connection. So something I've noticed is if we take away this idea of self, that our mind and this moment are not separate. We perceive this connection with everything else, and it really helps start to shape purpose in our lives. The fifth thing to try is the practice of compassion. Now, last week I made a video, how to stay compassionate in tough times. It's about accessing this compassion that we already have. I'll put a link down below so you can check it out. It goes more into detail about compassion. But again, if we really perceive the connection with everything else in this world, then we already have access to compassion and we can manifest it in our own lives. The last thing I want to share is to live simply. And what that means is we make our lives so complicated, and that's because most of the time, I don't think we're aware of what we're doing moment to moment. We don't understand ourselves. And I really believe if we practice these 5 things that I just suggested, that clarity will appear. We'll realize what's most important and not put so much time and energy into thinking into things that are not important. And from this clarity, the purpose of our life will manifest by itself. Those are my thoughts for the day. I hope this video was helpful. You can let me know by liking this video, share this video with someone, subscribe to my channel. Also, I'd be interested in hearing from you. What do you think the real purpose of life is? Put it down in the comments. Okay, everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you very soon.